Hey everybody, it's Ron and Ellie back for another edition of Ask Ron. First up this week is Jared Kluger from Arkansas. Jared says, I've got a house that needs repairs of $20,000 with an after repair value of $115,000.
All right.
An absentee owner is willing to sell for $85,000 with a mortgage of $80,000. With nothing to keep me in the deal here, is it possible to structure a work for equity deal with $5,000 down and the tenant buyer pays all repairs with a purchase price of $85,000 and acts it?
Well, Jared, I'm missing something. According to your question, you want to pay $85,000. The seller wants to hold a first mortgage for $80,000, which means you have to put $5,000 down, if I'm reading it right. And now you want to sell it for $85,000. Tell me where you make any money here. If you buy it for $85 and put $5 down, you owe $80. Now, there's nothing wrong with you putting it under contract for whatever terms you want, but if the house needs $20,000 worth of repairs and you're paying $85 for it, I'm telling you, you're grossly overpaying it, even with terms. That's a lot of work, Jared. A lot of work. You need to get that price down to more like about $65,000. And honestly, if the seller doesn't want to mess with it, I'm not sure I'd advise you to, because with that amount of work, it's going to be harder to find even a work for equity tenant buyer. So your goal is to get into it with nothing. And in fact, I can tell you right now, if the seller does not want to sell this house in that condition with a zero down payment, I wouldn't touch it. Because you're probably not going to get more than $5,000 out of it when you put it back out into the marketplace. So if I can't get in with nothing, and I'm only going to get $5 when I get out, why bother? We want to go to somebody that's more flexible. Whereas if I can get the seller to sell it to me for, say, $65,000 with nothing down, which is the only way I'd touch it, $65,000, owner finance it at some good terms, like maybe $300 a month, and I put nothing down, then I can put it right back on the market and sell it for $89,000 with $5,000 down, and just collect me a $84,000 balance monthly. So I owe the seller $65, my buyer owes me $84. The house is worth $115. You should be able to pull that off. Okay? But remember, you got to structure the terms so you make money. So if I can't get in with nothing, I'm out of here. If I can't get a low monthly payment, then I won't be able to get a monthly spread, because you can probably get about $750 out of this incoming note here. So now you got a monthly spread and you make $5 on the front end. Honestly, it doesn't make any difference what you do with this deal. It's not that big a deal to begin with. But I wanted to show you and the rest of our group that we got to get in light and get in right, or we're not going to get in at all. Our only profit is right there, collecting that down payment plus that monthly spread. Now, of course, if this were to happen, now I'd have what, $19,000 worth of equity in this note, which sometime maybe in the future I'd get it paid off. But even if I didn't, now at least I'd have a $300 or $400 monthly spread. And when this tenant moves out, I can put another one in there and keep on doing that forever until this debt is paid off. So in other words, structure the deal so it makes sense to stay in it or get out of it.
Thank you, Ron. Our next question is from Dallas Alfred in North Carolina.
Hi, Dallas.
He says, I live in the state of North Carolina and I'm getting ready to do my first axe deal.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I have to use a realtor to assign my option agreement.
No, you don't need a realtor, Dallas, but you need an attorney. I know for a fact that in North Carolina you got a couple rules that you got to be aware of, and you should not go into this thing without finding us out. Number one, I believe you got a 3-day right of rescission in North Carolina when with that seller when that option is signed. And I know that you have to record a memorandum of that option to make that deal legal in North Carolina. Anything else you've got to check out on your own, which means you're probably going to need a special agreement with that to attach to that option, giving them that 3-day right of rescission. You're going to have to get that from any North Carolina. Well, you shouldn't do this without an attorney on your team pretty soon, so you might want to be looking for that attorney before you get too deep into this. If you get an option to sign with the seller, you can always go back and get the rest of the paperwork signed later, but you need to know what the rules are. I don't know who to tell you to go to. Jay lives in North Carolina. My brother lives in North Carolina, but I can't give you an attorney's name in North Carolina right now. If you want to email our office, maybe I can ask Jay for a name or two and email them to you.
Thanks, Ron. Last up this week is Jermon Claiborne from Georgia.
Hey, Jamal.
He says, I just got off the phone with a seller who has a home that was damaged badly in a fire back in February.
Uh-huh.
His insurance told him that it's a total loss, and he's asking $10,000, but it's negotiable.
Okay.
He's very motivated and says the neighborhood is nice and coming up.
Okay.
What's your take on fire-damaged properties?
I have no problem with them. I just don't want to renovate them. But somebody might. Put it under contract and see if it'll flip. If it doesn't flip, you've lost nothing. All you need is a $10 deposit. I would get him down to, I'll see how low I can get him, and here's how you do that. I'd say, Mr. Seller, look, house is total loss. What's the least you can take if I pay you all cash? Then you get an answer. And your next question is that the best you can do? And you get an answer. Then your next question is, so you're saying if I don't give you blank, then you won't sell a house? And by the time you get to the bottom of those three questions, you'll know what he'll take. Go write it up, put it under contract, give yourself 45 days to close it. And then just put it right back out on the market, see what the market will bring you, because the lot the house is sitting on is probably worth considerably more than you're paying for the whole property. So you don't ever want to forget that. If it's in a neighborhood where somebody would tear that down and rebuild, as you seem to say it is, even $10,000 might be a good deal. If it's in a war zone, you're probably not going to get it sold at all. But you've got nothing to lose by putting it under contract. It's a $10 earnest money deposit.
Thanks, Ron. That's all the questions we have for you this week.
All right, guys, before we go, I want you to set aside the dates of July 10th and 11th. That's when I'm going to do, you probably haven't even been told about this yet, but we've got a special event coming up called Big Money in Big Chunks, and it's all about high-end houses in the pretty house business, and you'll get some information on it, so just set aside July 10 and July 11. And if you haven't registered for the convention right now, the summit is in September. What on earth are you waiting on? I can tell you this. The beautiful brand new Embassy Suites that we're doing this in will probably be booked. In fact, they told us that they will be totally full by mid to late June. So you might want to get your registration in here so you can get in the hotel and get you a place to stay at $99 a night. Are you kidding me? That includes breakfast with a suite. Get registered for the convention. Go to RES 2014. Get registered right now. You know you're going to be there. Might as well get registered. You can always cancel. Nothing to lose. See you next week.